Hey everyone, since I put out the QAV250 build videos, some things have changed. So in this video, I'm just going to talk about some of the things that have changed, and after building, I don't know how many of these QAV250s, I started building them a little bit differently. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I build it differently, and we'll talk about some of the different things, different parts. And also I've gotten a lot of requests on putting together a kit that includes everything you need to build the QAV250, including all the small miscellaneous parts. And as part of that kit, I started including this little cheat sheet that shows you exactly how long that you need to cut each one of these wires. So that way it streamlines the build and gives you a super clean build, because you have exactly the right length of wire, so it cuts down on the mess. So first we're going to talk about the NACE 32. The one that I used in the video is the revision 5, which they don't make anymore. The new one is the revision 6. So first of all, don't pay attention to the color of the board. The color of the board could be, it's just whatever the manufacturer has on hand when they make the board. They can be black, orange, red, blue, green, white, whatever. If you want to know what revision it is, just look under the USB connector. On this one, you can see this is a revision 5, and this one is a revision 6, right here. So let's just talk about some of the differences. They both work almost exactly the same. It's just the layout of the parts are different. So you can see here, I got both the boards pointing to the up front. You can see by the arrow here, but on the revision 6, the USB is now on the right, whereas the old one is on the back. And also the the receiver input for their D4R2 is different. On the revision 5, it was a 10 pad, 5 side on each side, or 5 pads on each side. So it's ground, power, and then channel 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then on the revision 6, it's the same thing, it's just different layout. So it's just ground, power, 1 through 8. So you would hook it up exactly the same way. You just take a 3-pin connector and then you just solder it onto ground, power, signal, and then this would just go to your D4R2. And then also, in order to have the USB port on the left side of the quad, say this is the front of the quad and this is the rear, you want your USB off to the side so it's easy access. If you do that, now the board on the old one is pointing to, the arrow is pointing to the right, and the new one is pointing to the back. So I'll show you later in clean flight how you adjust that so your quad doesn't flip like crazy when you try to take off. And also the ESC inputs are now on the other side of the board, whereas on the new one it's going to be in the back. So this will just require a different length for the ESC wire. Okay, so in this video I'm basically going to only cover what's different on the old build versus the new way that I build. So you can see here I'm still using the DYS BL20As. You can see I've already removed the ESC cover, removed the signal and ground leads off it, and removed the motor wires off the ESC. So you're just left with this little ESC with 2 power cables on it. So in the old video, in the original build, I put the ESCs facing up like this with the motor wire connections facing up, and then I kind of crossed them over because positive needs to go to positive, ground needs to go to ground. But since then I've started building them differently. I started putting the ESCs with the motor pads facing down, so that way you can just go right to the corresponding pads for the negative to negative, positive to positive right here, and I'll show you why I do that later. So you want to have your ESC sitting about flush with this this cutout right here, just a little bit lower. The reason why I put the leads, like a little extra lead right here instead of just cutting it short and then going directly to the pad, is it kind of gives you more room to play around, because well, that's one of the bad things about building clean, is that you have to be pretty precise with how much wire you cut. So just say on the motor wires, if you cut them a little too short and your ESCs are soldered directly like this, you won't have much room to play around back and forth. Whereas if you do this and solder it like this, here, the ESC can move a tiny bit when you solder up the motor wires. So I'm going to go ahead and solder these on, and then I'll show you how to do the motors. Okay, now that I have everything installed, you can tell my ESCs are now installed the other way as the other video. As you can see, the motor pads are on the other side. I'll show you why in a little bit. I've got my VBAC connected to the power distribution board. I have my battery cable connected, and these are for the LEDs on the quad if you're gonna use them. This is for a customer quad, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put them on. Okay, so here I already have the motor wires all cut and wrapped, and I have the motor guards on there, and I'm ready to solder the motors onto the power distribution board here. But before you do that, just make sure you put your ESCs or the heat shrink for your ESCs through the motor wires here, because once you solder them up, it'll be impossible to get this heat shrink onto the ESCs. So just make sure you do that before you solder. Okay, so now everything is ready, and now we're ready to mount the motors. Okay, so when you flip the quad over, this is the upside on the quad. This is going to be motor 1, 2, 3, and 4. But when you flip it over like this, 1, which is on the right here, is going to be now on this side. This is going to be motor 1, and this is 2. So just keep that in mind when you start soldering, because your power distribution board is going to go like this, and that's the front of the quad. So when you do it like this, once you flip your or have your power distribution board like this, kind of hard to say. If you just push this ESC down, your motor pads are right there, and it's much easier to do it this way, because it's really easy to just solder like this instead of the other way. When I had these flipped over, you'd have to try to do this and solder the pads going this way, which is really difficult. So I'll just show you how I do the first one. I just have this little solder clip thingy that helps you kind of hold the power distribution board up while you're soldering. Just kind of tuck these away. And I just move this out of the way. So we're just going to do ESC1 first. And ESC1 is crossed. So I don't know if you can see that, but once you start building your own quad, you'll see that this way is much easier to solder versus the other way. Just grab one. Whoops. Just like that. So that's your first one, and then you're just going to do the same with all the others. But by having your ESCs flipped this way, you can easily access the pads, so it's a lot easier to do versus the other way. So I'm going to finish doing the rest, and then or actually I can just show you. It's pretty much the same thing. Just use this little thing. and just kind of hold it to keep the board up while I have access to the so this is 1, 2, this will be motor 3 that I'm working on now. So 3 is going to be straight across. So and make sure when you do this you have your motor wires tinned already. It makes this this process a lot easier versus if you didn't, because for some reason the solder they use in the factory doesn't melt very well. So that's it. So as you can see, this way is much easier than the other way. So once you have all this done, don't put your heat shrink on yet until you calibrate your ESCs and make sure the motors are spinning in the direction that they're supposed to be spinning. Because if you put your heat shrink on, then you can't switch the wires if you need to. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is prepare the wires for the ESC signals. So what I have here is basically just a twisted pair of cables that that were connected to the ESCs. You only need 2 of them. So what you do is you remove the wires from the harness. So you just put a little flat or sharp thing in there and just lift the tab up, and you can pull the wire out. Like that. You put these aside. Same thing with the other one. And then you're just going to pull them apart. Okay, so now you have two white, 2 black. It doesn't matter what color you have them. This is just the way I've been doing it. It just makes it simple for me. Just kind of straighten them out. So the way I like to do it is this is the motors 1, 2, 3, 4. So the way I like to do it is I like to keep the white wires on the these 2 motors on the bottom, and then the black ones on top. It doesn't really matter how you do it as long as you connect it all correct. So this is just a little 4-pin connector. This will come with the QAV250 kit if you get it from me. So, or actually we need to cut it first. So first, I'm going to use this little chart that I have. So right here it tells you exactly how long to cut ESCs 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So I'm going to take 1 white, 1 black. And then I'm just going to measure it just like this. And the way these lines are, this will represent how long the wire alone is, not including the connectors. So it's just going to be like this. This will be the length I need. So this is ESC 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4. Sorry, my dog is snoring over here again. 3 and 4 would be that. So once you have your ESCs cut, this is what you should end up with. You should have 2 long ones, and 2 short ones. One is going to be one is going to be white, one is going to be black on each side. And what I like to do is I like to label the white ones. The long one is going to be ESC 1, so I just put a little dot here and a little line here, and then this one is ESC 3, And I'm just going to put 3 lines here and then 3 on the other side. It just makes it easier later when you're wiring things up. And then I've already snipped and tinned the ends. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install them on the quad. So just make sure you have the correct ESC wire connected on the right side on the correct motor. So this one is going to be motor 1. So this is ESC 1. So I just grab my wire here. Use my little tweezers. I'm just going to push the wire through. Get the tweezers. And then you're going to install it on the ESC in on the pad here. Just gonna heat this up. Just like that. I don't know if you can see that, but that's all you really need to do. And then the one across it is going to be ESC 3 because it goes 1, 2, 3. So you're going to see the white ones are going to be on the rear of the quad. So same thing here. It's kind of hard to do solder and film at the same time. Here it goes. You can see that. So on these, I'm not touching the wire. I'm basically heating up the solder pad, and then I'm just pushing the wire in while the solder is hot. But since I already have my ESC signal wires tinned, once the tinned wire hits that melted solder, it bonds really quickly. So you're just gonna do the same with the other ESCs. Let's see, 1, 2. So 2 is gonna have the long black lead. So this one is 2. Done. I'll do the ESC 4. There you go. So that's pretty much it for my power distribution board mounted on my quad. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull all these the signal wires and make sure I'm pulling it in the right side. So this is the rear of my quad, and this is going to be my stack. So I'm going to have my stack facing this way with the USB on the left side of the quad, and then my camera and video transmitter pins are going to face the front of the quad. So like this, I'm going to have my wires coming in on this through this hole right here. So just push everything through the hole. That. And then I'm just gonna use this 4 connector harness that I have for the ESC signals, and then I'm gonna plug in the correct signal connectors for the correct pads. But if you don't, well, this is gonna come with a kit that I'm gonna include for the QAV build kit. But if you don't have this 4-pin connector, you can use the 2 that came off the ESCs. But these are 3, so what you do is you just take an X-Acto knife and you cut one of them off. So you end up with 2 2-pin connectors, and then you can just kind of put the things on there, and then you can connect them onto your ESC signal leads just like that. I like to use a 4, it's just a little bit neater. So this one, let's see. So now you're gonna install the correct pin for the correct connector. So my connector is gonna go like this. So ESC1 is gonna be on this side of the quad. So you just take signal 1, connect it here, and then you just gotta find ESC2. So this is 1, 2. So this is ESC2. And coming in from this side, and then 3 is the other white one that's marked with the 3 lines. I don't know if you can see that. 3 here, and then the last one that fell through is ESC4 right here. And that'll just go in the last connector. Just like that. So once, if you use this little cheat sheet that I have, the wire should be exactly long enough for you to connect your NACE32 up just like that. And then once you mount it in the holes right there, you'll have exactly enough wire for the ESC like this. Okay, so this is what your quad should look like once you have everything connected. As you can see, I just temporarily slipped on the ESC heat shrinks onto the ESCs, but I haven't shrunk them yet because in case you need to flip any of the wires on the motors, you can still just slip it off and change it. But it's a good idea to slip them on just to prevent anything from getting shorted on the ESCs when you're doing the testing. And then on the inside here, you can see I have my my ESC signals connected to the NACE32 in there, and then this is my VBAT right here coming off the PDB going into the VBAT on the OSD board. So the major change that I did in building the QAV is basically the ESC mounting, the way I have it flipped, but everything else is the same except for the clean flight on the NACE32. Actually, it's beta flight, but I'll go into the whole detail of that and setting it up in my next video when I do the QAV210 build. But for now, that's pretty much it for this video. So I hope this was helpful and you learned some stuff. So don't forget to subscribe and keep an eye out for my next video. Thanks for watching.